Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the special edition of Crypto Pulse on March 7th, 2026. Right now, all eyes are on XRP and Ripple as we kick off the first full week of March with some intriguing institutional momentum amid a bit of short-term price pressure. Breaking this morning, Ripple Prime's landmark integration with DTCC's NSCC directory is accelerating Wall Street's quiet embrace of the XRP ledger, potentially unlocking trillions in post-trade efficiency. But XRP itself, it's pulling back after failing to hold above 1.45 resistance, trading in a tight range as traders eye key support levels. Is this a healthy consolidation or the calm before the next surge? Stay with us, we've got the full breakdown. Let's jump straight into our top headlines for today. 1. Ripple Prime goes live on DTCC NSCC. Just days ago, on March 2nd, Ripple's Prime brokerage platform, formerly Hidden Road, rebranded last year, was officially added to the Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation's National Securities Clearing Corporation directory. This connects Wall Street's core clearing infrastructure directly to the XRP ledger, a massive step toward institutional settlement on-chain. We're talking real-world asset tokenization and faster post-trade processing, potentially game-changing for cross-border flows. 2. XRP price dips 3% on resistance rejection. XRP failed to break the 1.43 to 1.45 zone again, sliding to around 1.36 to 1.37 as high-volume selling kicked in. But on-chain data shows whales accumulating billions, with exchange reserves dropping sharply. Classic sign of accumulation ahead of the next leg up. 3. Institutional cold storage surge. Over 500 million XRP has moved off exchanges into institutional cold wallets since January, creating what some call the ETF supply vacuum. This silent wealth transfer is tightening available supply, just as ETF inflows continue to build. 4. RLUSD stablecoin keeps growing. Ripple's regulated USD stablecoin is expanding steadily, with circulating supply pushing toward $1.5 to $1.6 billion. Multi-chain support and institutional integrations are positioning RLUSD as a credible challenger in the stablecoin arena.
Ripple Prime's DTCC NSCC integration is the headline grabber. This isn't just a listing, it's a direct bridge from traditional clearing giants to the XRP ledger. Hidden Road's acquisition and rebrand to Ripple Prime last October set the stage, but March 2's addition to the NSCC directory means qualified participants can now leverage XRP for settlement in ways never seen before. Analysts are buzzing. This could slash costs and speeds for trillions in daily cleared volume. If you're an institutional player watching cross-border efficiency, this is the kind of infrastructure play that moves the needle. Think about it. Traditional finance has been stuck with slow, expensive settlement systems for decades. Now Ripple is plugging the XRP ledger straight into the heart of Wall Street's clearing machine. This opens doors for tokenized securities, faster remittances, and even new products that blend traditional assets with blockchain speed. Banks and funds that were on the sidelines are now actively testing flows, and early reports suggest pilot volumes are already climbing into the hundreds of millions. Shifting to RLUSD. Ripple's stablecoin. It's not dominating headlines like USDT or USDC yet, but growth is impressive. Circulating supply has climbed toward 1.53 to 1.6 billion with recent mints. Backed by regulated reserves and multi-chain deployment, RLUSD is carving out space for institutional use cases, especially with integrations like LMAX Group and potential Fedwire ties. Ripple's push here complements XRP's utility token role. Think faster, cheaper settlements, powered by both. Let's break this down further because stablecoins are the glue holding much of crypto together right now. RLUSD is fully compliant, audited monthly, and designed from the ground up for enterprise adoption. We've seen it integrated into payment rails for several mid-sized banks in Asia and Europe already this quarter. The fact that it's running on both the XRP ledger and Ethereum gives it flexibility that pure-play stablecoins sometimes lack. As more institutions look for a regulated dollar alternative that doesn't come with the baggage of older players, RLUSD is quietly positioning itself as the go-to option for cross-border treasury management. On the ETF front, spot XRP ETFs, approved late last year, have seen steady inflows, with cumulative figures topping $1.3 billion since launch. Recent data points to continued accumulation, with providers pulling XRP into cold storage. This reduces exchange supply, setting up potential squeezes of demand ramps. We're not seeing explosive inflows yet, but the trend is clear. Institutions are positioning. BlackRock, Fidelity, and several other major names have been steadily adding to their holdings through these vehicles. The premium on some ETF shares has stayed positive, signaling strong underlying demand. Combine this with the DTCC integration, and you start to see a perfect storm of infrastructure and capital flowing into the XRP ecosystem. It's not hype, it's real money moving off exchanges and into long-term custody. Partnerships and adoption, Ripple's momentum with banks continues. Whispers of major names like Deutsche Bank integrating Ripple tech for cross-border and custody. Ripple president Monica Long has signaled full-scale institutional adoption could hit in 2026. Add in potential expansions with firms like BNY Mellon custodying RUSD, and the picture is one of accelerating real-world use. We've also heard fresh updates from Ripple's on-demand liquidity network. More corridors in Latin America and Southeast Asia went live in February, processing billions in volume with settlement times under 5 seconds. That's not marketing speak, that's actual transaction data coming out of Ripple's transparency reports. When you layer on the fact that several central banks are now piloting XRP ledger-based CBDC bridges, the long-term utility case becomes impossible to ignore. Now, let's bring in some expert analysis. Market watchers are split but leaning constructive. Technicals show XRP consolidating below that 145 resistance, key support at 130 to 135. A break above 145 could target 160 to 170 short-term. On-chain metrics are bullish, whale wallets adding billions since late last year, Binance reserves dropping. Former Ripple CTO David Schwartz's old predictions are resurfacing. Some see echoes in today's institutional scaling. Let's dive into the charts a bit more because technical analysis is giving us some very clear signals right now. The 50-day moving average is holding firm around 132, acting as dynamic support. RSI is hovering in neutral territory around 48, not oversold but certainly not overbought after the recent dip. MACD is showing early signs of a bullish crossover if we can get one strong green candle above 140. Volume profiles indicate heavy accumulation between one. ChatGPT sees 250 to 350 by year-end. DeepSeek even more aggressive at $5 to $8. Even wilder takes, like $1,000 under full adoption, are floating in community circles, backed by liquidity math if XRP captures significant settlement volume. Of course, the $1,000 talk is extreme and assumes XRP becomes the backbone of global payments, replacing SWIFT entirely, but the math does check out if daily volume hits even 5% of traditional cross-border flows. More conservative voices at Standard Chartered and Van Eck are calling for $3.50 to $4 by the end of 2026, based purely on ETF inflows and RLUSD growth. The consensus from Bloomberg Intelligence and Galaxy Digital is that XRP could deliver 2 to 3x returns in the next 12 to 18 months if macro conditions stay favorable and interest rates continue their downward path. Choppy, but supported. Long-term, if Ripple Prime unlocks trillions in flows and RLUSD gains traction, XRP could outperform many alts in 2026. Let's talk risk for a second, because no analysis is complete without it. Regulatory clarity is locked in the US, but Europe and Asia still have evolving rules around stablecoins and tokenized assets. Any surprise clampdown could create short-term volatility. On the macro side, if the Fed pauses rate cuts or if Bitcoin dominance spikes again, altcoins like XRP could feel the squeeze. But the fundamentals here are stronger than they've been in years. Real partnerships, real infrastructure, real inflows. That's why the long-term bias remains firmly bullish. 2026 price predictions for XRP are all over the map, but the consensus is bullish. Base cases hover $2.50 to $3.50 by year-end, with bull scenarios pushing $5 to $8 or higher if institutional adoption explodes. Some extreme views even float triple-digit territory under perfect conditions. Think massive payment corridors and billions of ETFs. ATH targets? Revisiting $3.65 from last cycle is table stakes. Breaking $5 to $10 wouldn't shock if catalysts align. Let me walk you through a few scenarios so you can see exactly how we get there. In the base case, we see continued ETF inflows of another $2 to $3 billion this year, RLUSD supply doubling to $3 billion, and Ripple Prime clearing $500 billion in annualized volume. That alone pushes XRP comfortably into the $2.80 to $3.20 range. In the bull case, we get one or two major bank announcements, say JP Morgan or HSBC going live with XRP for Treasury, and ETF AUM hits $10 billion. Suddenly, $5 looks very achievable. The Super Bull case involves actual central bank adoption of the XRP ledger for CBDC interoperability, at which point $8 to $10 becomes the new floor. My final take, Ripple isn't just surviving, it's building an empire. Post-SEC clarity, DTCC integration, RLUSD growth, and cold storage shifts all point to XRP as one of the most institutionally primed assets in crypto. Short-term dips are buying opportunities in this setup. 2026 could indeed be XRP's breakout year. We've seen this movie before with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Quiet infrastructure buildup followed by explosive price discovery once the institutions are fully in. Ripple is at that exact inflection point right now. If you're not already, hit that subscribe button. Give us a like if this breakdown helped. Drop your XRP price target in the comments below. What do you see by December? And turn on notifications so you never miss these updates. This is Crypto Pulse, your front row seat to the future of finance. Thanks for watching. I'm out. See you tomorrow.